Hey, Doug, what do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every week, Todd. Try to record a podcast.
My brain's a rocket, can't sit still. Thoughts collide, they always spill. A million voices shout my name. Never boring, never tame. ADHD, we're running wild. Focus fading, chaotic child. Turn the volume up, take a ride. In this crazy storm, I can't hide.
Oh, yeah, hey, I forgot. It was going to be me this week.
I can't actually hear when it ends.
Oh, that's right. I'm so sorry, folks. I'm sitting there going, go ahead, Doug.
We're both looking. Fortunately, I'm on camera this week, so I was able to point at Todd.
He's like, all right, yeah. So, hey, everybody, this is ADHP. It's Attention Deficit Hyperactive Politics with your hosts, Doug and Todd. He is Doug. I am Todd. And we got stuff to talk about, man.
Yeah, we're definitely living up to the name this week. That's for darn sure.
Oh, yeah.
So how was your week? We didn't see each other this week. How have you been?
I think I did it. I think I had a pretty decent week. It was, what did I do this week? I did a lot of nothing, honestly. And I think I just figured out why the intro was kind of like abrupt last week, or it didn't have certain things. I think I may have started the dialogue before the stream was fully started. So when I downloaded the video, it didn't have that intro. So that's one of the reasons why I kind of waited this time.
Gotcha. So yeah, you may have missed our legendary cold open last week.
Yeah. But I did things different this week. We are streaming live on Twitch and on YouTube. Stream.adhdrocks on Twitch, and then Todd.adhdrocks on YouTube. I know we should probably have our own channels, but those channels already have a following. That's one of the reasons why I didn't make a new one. And, kind of want to have people to actually listen and watch.
We'll take all the built-in audience we can get, for sure.
So, and then I did play around with Suno this week and got some other intros. Well, another intro made, and we're gonna use that for the news today. And Doug made one too, so I think we're gonna swap them out every other week until
we'll try and get creative.
Or maybe we'll create new ones.
Make some more.
You know what might be a cool idea, Doug, is if we were to actually customize the intro music with the stories we're going to talk about.
Oh, that would require a little bit more prep on my part, but to not last second everything the way
I mean, it doesn't take very long to make a song.
But that's true. It is pretty instantaneous.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
So yeah, we can throw some buzzwords in from the stories.
That's what I'm saying. Just use like the title of the story as the words for it to create lyrics to. I mean, while I was waiting for the show notes to be finalized, I was dinking around in there and making some new stuff. Because today is May the 4th, Star Wars Day, I was making some heavy metal Star Wars songs. So it's just like, yeah, this is fucking awesome. This sounds like fucking Pantera or maybe Slayer, and like it's talking about Star Wars and galaxies far away and Wookiees and shit. So this is pretty awesome.
Are we gonna get to hear any of those later?
I mean, I can play them if you want. I mean, let me open my browser back up, and I can absolutely do that.
Yeah, for those that can't tell, we don't do a pre-production show. We just work it out on the fly.
I mean, that's kind of how it's done, I think. I mean, we could do some pre-production, I suppose, but that would just take more time. And do we have it? Not really. So
No, not really.
So go to my Suno account, suno.com, and then go into my Library.
Yeah, not a sponsor, but we do use them a lot.
I mean, I would love it if they sponsored us. I think it is published to my Suno profile, which is suno.com/@ADHD rocks. And it's the most recent thing on there as of right now. I mean, I may make some new stuff between now and when people hear this. So, but do you want to hear it now, or do you want me to play it later?
You want to hit? Well, if you got it ready, let's hit one right now, and then if you got more than one, we can do another one later.
Okay. Yeah, I won't play the whole song because it's like 3.5 minutes. So
yeah, let's get a taste of it though.
Like I said, I told it I wanted some death metal and Star Wars, and this is what I got.
Sabers light the way across the galaxies far away. Heroes rise and shadows fall. The force that binds us one and all. May the force be with you strong.
What do you think of that? I'm only going to play like 30 seconds of it. So if you guys want to hear the whole song, I will absolutely post a link to it to our social media on Blue Sky and over on Facebook, facebook.com/stream.adhd.rocks. And I will definitely send you the link, Doug, so you can actually grab it yourself.
Yeah, unfortunately, I couldn't actually hear it. It doesn't play in my ears except
Oh,
for
shit. Oh, yeah, I'll
a
absolutely.
word here and there.
Okay. It was probably really loud too. So it's probably better that it didn't play the whole thing for you, Doug. I'll send it to you right now so you can actually. Where did it? Here. Come on, stop doing that. You know how when you mouse over something and it changes what you're looking at?
Oh yeah.
I hate that. I really wish I could turn that off. There's the link.
Yeah,
to...
I'm able to fat finger things with my mouse all the time.
Yeah, that too. Yeah. Hopefully that will give you. Let me try this again. Make sure I'm sharing the correct copy link. Go back over here.
Yeah, it looks like it worked.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it's just the thing when you use Suno, you tell it what you want, and it will create everything for you. It'll create you the album cover. It'll create the song title. It'll create all the lyrics. It's pretty awesome. This is the only music AI that I've ever used. I know there's at least 2 others out there, but this one does so well. And for like $10 a month, you get unlimited amounts of creation. So I have fun.
Yeah, we do pay for it. I don't know if the artists that it steals from get paid from it, but
I don't know
when we ever make enough money to hire an actual artist to do something, we will.
Yeah, I think what we'll see is like, hey, this is what the AI did for us. Can you like make it like this but cooler? And they'll be like, fuck yeah, I can. So, yeah. So yeah. No, that was
all right.
Everybody else heard it. Doug will have to listen to it here whenever he has a chance to plug it in and listen. So
yeah, looking forward to it. And but let's get into the main topic for the day. Of course, the episode this week is titled "The Trump That Stole Christmas."
Yeah.
How Trump's trade war is jeopardizing our special holiday and all the holidays, not just Christmas. It's just that's the big one, I guess, for a lot of Americans. But we touched on this last week with Houston Wade's note about how basically the Port of Seattle had not a single international cargo ship.
Right.
The port was effectively dead last week. He updated that again yesterday. He says it's been a week since my post about the Port of Seattle went viral, and now Seattle, it had 4 ships in total from international destinations as of yesterday. So we're recording here on May the 4th, obviously.
Yep.
But the ships it had yesterday were 2 grain ships, 1 international container ship, and a Hawaiian cargo vessel. Vancouver, British Columbia, on the other hand, had everything else. And we'll put a link to this in the source notes.
Yeah.
You can see the image that shows the 4 yellow dots in the Seattle port versus, just from what I can see here, again, so many dots on top of each other, I can't count them all. but Vancouver's, as of yesterday, had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and then a whole pile that I can't possibly count all of them because they're all overlapping and covered by other, but there's another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 at least in that little pile. So you can see that there is business happening. It's
Right.
just not happening in America. And again, that comes from Houston Wade. I definitely recommend checking out his YouTube. It's not just about port stuff. He's an astrophysicist and has other interests as well, but he does a lot of good work
Right.
breaking down some wonky stuff. If you're into wonky things, you definitely want to check out Houston Wade's YouTube. But what we're seeing here is the trade war's wave of retail shortages will hit U.S. consumers in stages. So we can break this down further from @MolsonHart on Twitter. So this really tells the story here. So according to Molson, the White House has put itself and the country in a bad situation and doesn't even realize it yet. Around April 10th, China to U.S. trade shut down. It takes approximately 30 days for containers to go from China to LA. It takes 45 days to Houston. It also takes 45 days to Chicago by train. 55 days to New York. So that means there are no economic effects of what was done on April 10th until about May 10th. So we're still about a week out from seeing the real impact of this.
Right.
And we already just told you what it's already looking like. So around that time, it's already started to happen. Trucking work is going to dry up. Warehouses will start doing layoffs because no labor is needed to unload containers. And some products will be out of stock, reducing the need for shipping labor. This will start in Los Angeles and Seattle, obviously. After about 2 weeks from the 10th, it'll start hitting Chicago and Houston. And so let's say, for the sake of argument, that the White House, after 3 weeks, changes its mind on May 31st. Now, they say this isn't working out like we thought it would. Let's send tariffs back to zero. Let's say China says bygones are bygones. We'll go back to how things were. Let's say every factory in China that got screwed by their orders being canceled says the same thing.
Yeah.
No problem. We'll make it and ship it. The problem is, even under the most favorable conditions of China and the factories restarting economic ties as though nothing happened, it will be at least another 30 days before economic activity is revived. And that's just in LA. In Chicago,
wow.
Houston, you'll need to wait another 45 days. New York at that point will still be getting containers from before April 10th. Then they will have 50 days of zero economic activity at the ports and trucking Chinese goods to warehouses and everything. So the whole situation is like COVID lockdowns. Once you shut down, it takes a long time to get the activity back to where it was,
recover,
if
yeah.
you ever can. And again, this assumes that China and its factories, which makes things you can't buy elsewhere, will start right back up again as though nothing happened, which of course is unlikely. It's almost like we're speeding towards a brick wall. This is what Molson says. It's almost like we're speeding towards a brick wall, but the driver of the car doesn't even see it yet. And by the time he tries to hit the brakes, it will already be too late. So that's basically this delayed crisis that we're seeing, and we're just starting to see it now. So, and as that sort of explained, the trade war's wave of retail shortages will hit U.S. consumers in stages. So within a few months of this is coming from CNBC. Within a few months of a prolonged trade war, supply chain executives say the first signs of empty shelves would show up where price-sensitive imports dominate. And this is where we get to the theme of Trump stealing Christmas.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be toys, low-cost apparel, and budget home goods. Those are going to be the canaries in the coal mine. What kind of stuff do people buy each other for Christmas? Toys, low-cost apparel,
Right.
and budget home goods. Like, that's exactly like most people, despite the car commercials, most people don't get a brand new car for Christmas.
I mean,
Right?
not unless you're in the top 1%. Yeah, those people, they get cars for Christmas. We don't.
Yeah.
I mean, if I get a
And
car
even-
for Christmas, it's going to be a Hot Wheels. Let's be real.
Yeah, there you go, a toy. And even Trump's own Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, recently described a trade war with China as unsustainable.
Yeah.
And the risk of retail shortages will depend largely on how the unsustainable tariff levels last and the extent to which companies front-loaded inventory in the early months of 2025.
Have you?
So a Chinese government... Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say a Chinese government minister recently said, at present, there are absolutely no negotiations on the economy and trade between China and the U.S., despite the fact that Trump keeps trying to insinuate that there are.
Have you seen that video that Ben Stein did in the last, like, 3 or 4 weeks?
Ben Stein as in Bueller? Ben Stein? I have not.
He does, like, a recreation of that whole sequence of the movie talking about tariffs. But it's like... he still looks old AF, but he's like even older because he's got wrinkles and gray hair. So, but he does the whole thing, and then he talks. I think he does a little bit more in this updated one. I'll see if I can find it and I'll send it to you because it's actually pretty funny. I think because he's like
and for those, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's basically at the end he's like, yeah, tariffs never worked.
Right. That's sort of the lesson America has learned before, but of course, Trump in his quest with Project 2025 and the people around him using him for this quest, they're basically, in my estimation, trying to repeal the entire 20th century. So we're gonna have to learn old lessons all over again.
Yeah. Well, as they say, if you don't learn from the past, you're doomed to repeat it. So.
And for those that don't know, Ben Stein was actually a speechwriter for Richard Nixon. And his politics I am not in line with Ben Stein's politics for the most part. But he's absolutely right about tariffs. I mean, that's the one thing that it used to be that everybody could agree on is that extreme tariffs were not the right way to go.
Yeah.
So continuing on here, new data from Sea Intelligence shows a continued rise in canceled sailings as a result of the screeching halt of ocean freight orders. So for the Asian North American East Coast, there is now a major spike in blank sailings. So that's basically empty ships for the week starting on May 5th. That's this week, and that's apparently quite extreme. Not surprised to hear that.
Yeah.
And then Casey Armstrong, the CMO of ShipBob, which is a global fulfillment and supply chain platform, he warned that the first signs of empty shelves would show up where price-sensitive imports dominate the shelf. Again, toys, games, budget home goods, in addition to apparel.
Yeah.
These are the canaries in the coal mine of a disrupted supply chain, he said. So Armstrong thinks toys and seasonal kids' goods, including back-to-school items, will disappear first because of the shortened lead times and the timing of tariffs. Low-cost home goods and the consumer electronics supply will be constrained because even though many products in these categories are not, quote-unquote, final assembled in China, their components are.
Yeah.
So, and this is going to be a problem even if we try to bring manufacturing back to America, or even if you are an American company that manufactures things here, where do your source materials come from? A lot of those source materials come from China. So even if you're making stuff in America, you're still suffering from the tariffs.
Yeah.
So one way Trump is jeopardizing Christmas is by basically making it so that the kind of stuff we buy each other for Christmas aren't going to be on the shelves. There's a real good chance that they're just not going to be there. But moreover than that, it also is a risk to the Chinese factories that would make them. So we kind of covered that in the opening thing from Molson Hart, which is because of the gap in supply chains, we're going to lose the factories that were shipping to us. Either some smaller Chinese businesses are going to go out of business, or they're simply going to find new purchasers, new customers for their product. They're just going to bypass America altogether. So this is another story from CNBC. And that's Chinese factories are stopping production and looking for new markets as U.S. tariffs bite. So we mentioned how this tariff is having a pandemic-like effect on commerce, and if you talk to the Ash Manga, who's the founder and CEO of a Guangzhou-based IMEX Sourcing Services, which is a supply chain management company, They're
Okay.
already referring to the impact of recent doubling in tariffs is quote unquote way bigger than that of the COVID-19 pandemic. So we're talking about even worse impact coming on China's side. And
Okay.
that's not to their economy, but that's to the products that they would be shipping to us. So a few businesses have told them that under 125% tariffs, their business model is not workable, according to Michael Hart, president of the American Chamber of Commerce in China. Fewer and fewer Chinese companies are considering diverting exports to the U.S. through other countries. So that's one of the ways that the Trump apologists have tried to say that they can get around it, is they can take stuff to Canada and then import it to America, or go to South America and then to America. But fewer and fewer Chinese companies are considering that due to the rising scrutiny and transshipments from the U.S. They also added that many companies are diversifying production to India over Southeast Asia, while others are turning from U.S. customers to those in Europe and Latin America. So again, Trump is ruining Christmas, not in Europe, not in Latin America, here in our backyard. We're the ones that are going to suffer from this.
Yeah.
And then lastly, compounding this whole situation is the fact that by way of tariffs and other just inconsistencies, just Trump's utter lack of consistency with how he's approaching the economy, Trump's first 100 days are the worst for the stock market since Nixon. This is yet another story from CNBC, and maybe you're noticing a trend with the CNBC stories. They are
Yeah.
not. CNBC is not traditionally a leftist, anti-conservative, anti-Republican outlet.
Well,
I know they have the letters NBC in their name, but they are stock market cheerleaders.
Okay, I thought
So
that was
they-
the Canadian Broadcasting Company.
No, CNBC. I don't know if it stands for like corporate NBC or what it
Okay.
is, but it's CNBC. It's NBC's business channel.
Oh, okay.
So it's where you see what's the Mad Money guy that has all
Oh,
his
that
buttons
guy.
that he
Yeah,
hits
yeah.
and-
Yeah.
yeah, and Power Lunch and all that stuff. So the S&P 500 7.9% drop from when Trump was sworn into office on January 20th through the April 25th close is the second worst first 100-day performance going back to the beginning of President Richard Nixon's second term, according to CFRA research.
I saw a video the other day that said that they said that he is the worst. He's had the worst first 100 days, and he goes, "Well, all right. Well, who's the second worst?" He goes, "Also you, your last administration."
Yeah.
So I
And so
thought that was pretty
on
funny.
average, he's setting the bar even lower than he had dropped it before.
Yeah, that's
On
funny.
average, the S&P 500 rose 2.1% in the first 100 days for any president in the data of post-election years from 1944 through 2020. That's also per the CFRA. And of course, Trump's is down 7.9% instead of the average of up 2.1%. So that's a swing of 10 points, basically. And if you look at the history of things, this is just something that I think people need to start pointing out in general, is that every Republican in Trump's lifetime, every Republican president has had a recession happen on their watch. Whereas except for COVID, which the recession had already happened prior to Biden taking over, the Democrats do not see recessions on their watch.
Okay.
But the bigger point there is I need to verify the second part just to make sure that, because I believe Carter had stagflation. His administration suffered from what they called stagflation, which was a stagnant economy with inflation.
That's kind of what I figured it was.
And so I think maybe it's 1 out of 5 Democrats have had a recession, whereas 5 out of 5, or Trump is going to make it 5 out of 5, have had a recession for Republicans. And then according to Jeffrey Hirsch, who's the editor of the Stock Traders Almanac, everyone's looking for the bottom here, but they still think it's a bear market rally, which is like a dead cat bounce. He says he's not convinced that we're out of the woods yet due to the lack of clarity and continuing uncertainty in Washington. So again, Trump continues to hurt the economy, which puts more people out of work, which means less people in the pockets of those that are in work. Things are getting more expensive, so that's more money out of everybody's pocket. And so even if there are items on the shelves for Christmas, who's going to be able to buy much? And so we had Trump, of course, this week came out and said, well, instead of $30, a kid can just have $2.
Yeah, because that's what people do. They buy their children 30 or more toys,
Yeah.
Because that's...
And I don't know, did he get $30 when he was a kid?
He probably got 30 of whatever thing he was really into when he was 5. I don't remember who it was, but there was some billionaire dude who was like, this is what Christmas looks like, and it shows this massive 30-foot tree with, it's just covered in ornaments, gaudy ornaments, and there's hundreds of presents around the trees. Like, this is what a Christmas tree should look like, you poor motherfuckers. I'm like, excuse me, what?
Yeah, I mean, this is really Trump's let them eat cake moment, I think.
Yeah.
And I do like people out there now calling him Donnie $2.
That's fucking hilarious too. Now I've been sharing out the live stream on YouTube to people, so maybe we can get some viewers. Right now we have one person watching. That's probably me because I have it streaming on my other screen. But we've
learned that now, that if there's one person watching, it's you.
It's either me or it's one of the bots over on Twitch. So and because we're using the restream, that's probably why that's showing up on Twitch. But trying to get more people watching. So if you are listening to this on your favorite podcasting app, know that we record on Sundays, and if we know when we're going to be recording and streaming, we will post about it on social media. Although I didn't do that this week because I wasn't sure when we were starting.
We didn't know. Yeah, so, I had a very busy weekend. This was. I'm thinking more last minute than usual.
I'm thinking because I what I've been doing is whenever we're done recording, I do any edits that need to be done. Otherwise, I put it in a format that will be a quick upload, and then I post it as soon as I have it available. So what I'm thinking about doing, because most podcasts either post new episodes on Tuesdays or Fridays, I figure Monday night, Tuesday morning, right after midnight, kind of thing. So that way it's the first thing that downloads to whatever app you're using when you get up on Tuesday, and it gives us a little time to make any edits or tweaks if we need to. Probably not, but just in case.
Tuesday or Monday?
Monday night, Tuesday morning. So Tuesday.
Because usually it's up on Monday morning.
That's because that's what I've been doing, is I've been posting it as soon as I have it available. But I'm thinking that I was watching somebody else's thing. It was like, we have our episodes every week on this time. I was like, we haven't been consistent with that. So I'm thinking that even if I have it done tonight, I'm gonna have it post tomorrow at midnight. So that would be Tuesday morning. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I don't know if I like it.
I know.
having it on Monday,
I know you want to have.
It's already a look at the week back, so I don't want to get too far into the new week.
It's only 24 hours, Doug.
It's a big 24 hours.
Things are not gonna explode. Well, I mean, of course, as soon as I say things are not gonna explode in a 24-hour period, that's when shit's gonna happen. But typically, when a podcast posts, it's a day or two after it's been, recorded and whatever else. And when I was on the other shows, we would record it the Friday or Thursday before, and then I would post it the following Tuesday. So that gave. I
get what you're saying. I thought it was something particularly impressive with us that we could record and post it at the same time.
I mean, we could. I mean, we're live streaming it, so if people are watching, they're seeing it right as we're doing it. But have a schedule of when it's going to be available is a good thing. So.
True.
So
just to summarize here, before we move on to news of the week, the 3 pillars of how Trump is stealing Christmas is: 1, we're cutting off the supply chain. There's a 30 to 45 to 55 day lag in those supply chains, and so even if we try and turn it all back on all of a sudden, there's still going to be a big gap, and we're gonna be at risk of empty shelves. The second pillar is that China's the manufacturers or the businesses that provide U.S. merchandise, they are being hit by this, and they are either going out of business or they're finding non-U.S. markets. And then the third pillar is that the economy's tanking and no one's going to have money to have a particularly good Christmas. Bonuses might not be going out this year, that sort of stuff.
No.
So supply chain is disrupted. Products are no longer going to be sent our way, and no one's going to have money to buy anything. And that is how Trump is stealing Christmas from us.
You greedy bastard.
All right, so if you want to hit the theme song for the next segment, Todd, I'm
yes.
excited to hear it. Well, I won't hear it, but I did already listen to it.
Yeah. Here we go.
And now it's time for our weekly news. We're breaking down the key stories shaping our world, from policy shifts to the latest in global affairs. Let's dive in.
All right.
So I could hear the lyrics, but not any music.
Okay.
Lyrics, I could hear the speech. But cool. All right. So we got some local news and some national news to cover this week. So big news in Washington is we have passed a budget. The legislature, the Senate, and the House in Washington State have approved a $77 billion budget. So in a race against the clock, this is coming from Como News. In a race against the clock, both chambers of the Washington State Legislature approved a $77 billion budget just hours before the legislative session ended. The budget aims to address a $16 billion shortfall and includes $8.7 billion in new taxes, a decision that sparked significant debate in Olympia. So as part of the budget, Governor Bob Ferguson expressed his support for maintaining the state's rainy day reserve fund, citing potential federal budget cuts. So basically the state does have a rainy day fund, and we're not dipping into that to meet our budget shortfall because we need insurance for federal cuts that Doge and them are doing.
Doggy.
So, yes, doggy. So Ferguson said the federal government, the Trump administration, is engaging in all kinds of cuts to our budget. So I want to make sure we have a reserve fund to make sure we can withstand the chaos coming from Donald Trump. The budget also includes $7.5 billion capital improvement plan. So that's going to fund construction and infrastructure projects across the state. The plan marks an investment in affordable housing, public school construction, and the protection of natural resources. So this is a significant investment. Ferguson calls it the largest in state history for the Housing Trust Fund. So not only does that help house people, not only does that help educate our kids, but it puts a lot of people to work.
Yeah.
This is Keynesian economics at work. The government spends money, and people, and it goes into the pockets of the workers of the state. And everybody's going to make a prevailing wage on those jobs, and more people are going to work, and more people are going to be housed, more people are going to be educated. It's good all around. Now, of course, the Republicans are opposed to this. So Chris Corey, who's a Republican representative, he criticized the new taxes. He says there's new taxes on property, new gas taxes, new taxes on real estate, new taxes on products that people buy across the state. It's more and more, and the question we keep asking is, are we getting more? We're actually getting a lot less in this state, we believe. Now, what did we just say? These new infrastructure, school, and housing programs are expenditures are going to create jobs. They're going to give us new housing. They're going to give us new schools. This is undeniably good for the state of Washington. But it requires taxes. So I guess fuck everybody. And the transportation funding plan, which is a part of this, and this part passed with bipartisan support, includes a $15.5 billion allocation for highway projects, road repairs, and the state ferry system. And this plan introduces a 6-cent increase in the state's gas tax. So the one thing we do need to understand is that the governor of Washington does have a line item veto. So and Governor Ferguson does say he plans to review the budget, quote, line by line in the coming weeks.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see if any of those taxes go away. It'll be interesting to see if any of the good things go away. I can't imagine he's going to cut the expenditures in terms of the ones for housing and schools and infrastructure. But it'll be curious if he does do any line vetoes, because if he does, it could mean a shortfall in the budget.
Okay.
The next story is related to this, and this is actually coming from GeekWire, which decided to do a story on Washington State, because part of this budget, part of making up the budget shortfall, is that Washington has allowed its states. So we have a state sales tax instead of a state income tax, right?
Right.
And
like-
and a sales tax is regressive. It would be a lot better if we had an income tax, but the reason a lot of the billionaires like to live here is because we don't have an income tax. So
Yeah.
we have expanded our state sales tax to cover basically the way it's termed is to modernize, quote unquote, modernize the tax system as economy shifts towards services and digital products. So what this is going to do is a host of tech-related businesses will soon be subject to Washington's retail sales tax, and this is an excise tax code to apply sales tax to a wide range of categories, including advertising agencies, software development firms, IT support providers, and other digital service businesses. So from what I can see from this is stuff that's kind of been lucky to avoid sales tax so far. Like, if we're going to have a sales tax, you should have to pay it when you hire an ad agency. You should have to pay it when you have software developed. Like, it only makes sense that these things have a sales tax applied. Now, of course, GeekWire is against it because theoretically it's going to make things that they want to do a little more expensive.
I mean, the
also,
sales tax is like 15 or 20%, right?
So the sales tax from Washington is something like 6% from the state.
Oh, okay.
And then your different municipalities, your cities and counties have added on taxes.
Oh, that's why. Okay.
In Seattle, for example, the effective sales tax is like 11% or 10.1, something like that.
They also have that weird tax on sweet drinks, so like sodas and stuff. It's crazy expensive for those.
Which is kind of a sin tax, which I guess I'm not.
Yeah,
totally
I always
against.
thought that was weird because you can't buy a Coke, but you can buy yourself an orange juice with the same amount of sugar in it because, well, it's orange juice.
Got to draw the line somewhere, I guess.
Yeah.
Because fundamental grocery items do not get a sales tax. Your milk and your bread and your vegetables and your fruit. Yeah.
Just like things
But
like...
in reaction from the tech industry, so Philip Anderson, the vice president of Seattle software developers, said the bill, quote, feels like a real blow, and cited an already, quote, significant tax burden. To now impose additional tax obligations on an industry that helped build Seattle economy is discouraging.
Yeah.
So, based on what we've been talking about here with taxes and our regressive sales tax and the way Republicans and tech owners react to the tax burden of Washingtonians, Todd, just where would you guess, out of 50 states, where would you guess Washington State ranks in total tax burden per person? And just for some context, I'll give you New York is number 1 in tax burden per person. California is number 5. And then Alaska is 50th. Wyoming is 48th.
I would say that Washington's between California and Alaska, somewhere in there. I don't know.
Oh, you're taking 5 through 50? You're taking somewhere in that?
I mean, yeah, I don't really know. I mean, I know that I do know that. Of course,
if you were basing it on what the tech bros are saying and what the Republicans are saying, where would you think we're landing? Where number 1 is the highest individual and number 50 is the lowest.
Okay, maybe. Well, shit. Maybe it's in the top 10.
That you would think, right? Based on the way that they're responding to it.
Yeah.
Like that we're all overly burdened with taxes here in the state of Washington.
Yeah.
We rank 29th.
Okay,
We have a
I was
lower
right.
indivi-
I was really right then. It was between
Yeah,
5
yeah.
and
When you took 45 of the 50, you took a range between 5 and 50. You nailed it. But no, literally, Kentucky, West Virginia, Mississippi, and Arkansas, they all have higher individual tax burdens than the state of Washington.
Okay.
That's mostly due to the fact that we don't have an income tax. So I don't know where these Republicans and these business owners get off talking about how our tax burden here is so high. The cost of living in Washington is high, and that's because people want to live here. Obviously, if you've ever tried to live anywhere else, I think
Right.
my cousin tried to go to Vermont he followed a girl to Vermont, and he moved back after 6 months. He famously said, "I don't understand why everyone in the world doesn't want to live here," meaning Western Washington. And that's going to make the cost of living high, is because we have a lot of we just
I mean,
people want.
it does rain like all the time here. People should not want to live here. I mean, and there's also the Seattle freeze. You don't want to live here. Stay where you're at.
That's the mess. Yeah, if you're listening to this out of state, go to California.
Yeah, go live in California. They have Disneyland, folks. We have Microsoft, okay, and Amazon. That's all we got. We don't have anything cool here. Not really.
All right, so getting into some more controversial Washington state laws. The legislature, that is, again, it's gone through the House and the Senate now. Washington lawmakers approve a gun permit bill, and that's going to the governor to see if he'll sign it. So the big picture, and this is coming from Axios Seattle. Big picture, the permit to purchase bill builds on recent gun control measures passed in Washington state, which have included bans on selling high-capacity firearm magazines and so-called assault weapons. So the gun permitting measure, which won final approval in the House on Tuesday, now heads to the desk of Governor Bob Ferguson. It was the highest priority gun control policy this year for top legislative Democrats. And, of course, Democrats in our state control both the House and the Senate. So the bill would require most people in Washington to have completed a certified firearms safety training course within the previous 5 years before they can get a permit to buy a firearm. Prospective gun owners would have to apply for the permit and pay a fee to Washington State Patrol, which runs firearm background checks. If the required training has been completed, the State Patrol would have to grant permit applications unless someone is restricted from owning a firearm for another reason. And those reasons could be having an outstanding arrest warrant or being subject to a no-contact order. Military members and police officers can be exempted from the training requirement, as can private investigators and armed security guards. So the thing to realize here is that, the Second Amendment says a well-regulated militia being necessary and proper to the security of a free state, the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. It does not anywhere in there talk about a weapon for personal protection.
Yeah.
Now that's been reinterpreted by the I always blank on the name of the 2008 Supreme Court case where Justice Scalia wrote the majority opinion, where basically it took away, it basically said the well-regulated militia clause is meaningless. It just took that away completely.
Right. And all the 2A people are like, yeah, well, the right to bear arms, and yeah, but that's the National Guard. That's what that is.
Exactly. Yeah, and in fact, previous Supreme Courts have stated that, or at least previous Supreme Court justices have stated that bearing arms has nothing to do with a personal firearm. You could take your rifle out, go hunting, bag yourself a deer, come home, and you could be said to have never bared arms at all in the course of that. Bearing arms has to do with a military display of power. If it's for the local militia, the National Guard, like you said. And so that's what I think.
I was going to say, I remember as a kid hearing the right to bear arms. It's like, I don't know what the big deal about bear arms are. I would much rather have cheetah legs. Because you could run really you could run really fast,
Yeah. But what this permitting does is, by requiring the training, is you're essentially having to do what you would need to do to be part of a well-regulated militia. And
Right.
well-regulated means like you're practiced with your weapon. You know your weapon. You can muster when you're called to muster. Like that's what it means to be well-regulated. It doesn't mean regulations in the sense that
Yeah.
we think of them now.
I,
It
I
means that you're well-trained.
I think the average NRA person thinks well regulated means well lubricated with beer.
Yeah, that's
Let's
that's a
have
whole
another
other
let's have
issue.
another PBR and let's just shine these things up. No, that's not what it is.
Yeah, and you can see the intent in this bill by if you're already a member of the military or the police, you can be exempted from it. Why? Because you're ostensibly part of a well-regulated militia when you have police or military training. Same if you're a security guard or that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it is absolutely, and it does not tread on anybody's rights. Though of course that's not what the Republicans are saying,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They're calling it a poll tax for access to your constitutional guarantees. But that would be like saying that now if you want to say, okay, if you want to say a hardship because you can't pay for the permit, but you still want to be part of a well-regulated group of some sort and have access to keeping and bearing arms, maybe there's a lawsuit there to say that sort of like where we have to provide an attorney to people via the Miranda decision.
Right.
Maybe there's a decision here to say that if somebody does all the things necessary to be a lawful gun owner, but they can't afford the permit, then maybe the permit needs to be covered by the people. I can be amended to that argument.
I mean, yeah, I don't care if people have guns as long as they're responsible with them. So that's the only thing I care about. So.
Yeah, I personally don't have any guns. I
Me
know
either.
the statistics. If you keep a gun in your house, it's more than likely to have you're more than likely going to have somebody shot that you didn't mean to have shot. It's more likely to be used against you or to be an accident.
Right.
Kids find it goes off. It gets used in a fight, something stupid like that. All
Yeah.
right, so switching gears to some more national news now. Of course, if you're a regular listener of this show, we've been following the visa revocations and the Trump administration's attempt to intimidate foreign students to self-deport and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So of course we reported the other week that students were starting to sue the Trump administration and they were racking up wins in court, and then the Trump administration backed off and restored everybody's SEVIS policy. And this is because people were getting their SEVIS status revoked due to things like a traffic violation and that sort of stuff. Well, they've learned their lesson now, and they've come in, and now Rubio has a new official policy of one strike and you're out.
What? Okay.
This is coming from USA Today, and their website's being horrible. So we'll see if I can actually get this to work. Thanks, USA Today. All your 50,000 ads on your page is bogging down my computer. Okay. So foreign nationals visiting or living in the country legally could lose their visa status if they run afoul of the law under the new and unforgiving so-called catch and revoke policy announced by Secretary of State Marco Rubio. I have to scroll again, and we'll see if it lets me. Yeah, they've got a video they've put up. They've got ads all over the place. This is what the world's gonna be like if the tech bros take over. Like you're not gonna be able to walk out your front door without lag.
Right? Or it'll be like in Idiocracy where everybody's clothing was just like various brands on it. Like not like
Everyone's like a NASCAR driver.
yeah, everyone's like a NASCAR driver or some other like sponsored type of thing. Mostly like car drivers and sports teams and stuff. But yeah, like the dude had like it wasn't like it was like a Star Wars shirt or anything like that. It was various brand logos all over the shirt, and they weren't all even like connected. It was just yeah, it was weird. It's a good movie though. You're muted, dude.
Am I still muted?
Not now. I can hear you now.
Okay. This stupid website's bogged down my whole computer.
Oh,
So
okay.
there is now so according to Rubio, there is now a one-strike policy: catch and revoke. Whenever the government catches non-U.S. citizens breaking our laws, we will take action to revoke their status. So they are saying they're trying to sell this as it's only going to be for like violent or serious actions, but that was already the case. That was already the case under the previous law. So it can only be assumed that this is going to be used so that now when they want to revoke your status because you jaywalked, now they can. Now you can't sue them and get your status restored. Right? They say it will pursue immigrants convicted of criminal activity, including domestic violence and assault, but that doesn't limit it to anything else either. And again, those cases were already subject to removal. So obviously they're just going to use this to get people out for minor stuff that they couldn't before.
Yeah.
And then the last news of the week, and in many ways this is the biggest thing, and this is a NBC interview, but the reporting here is coming from Time, and you may have heard this from various other sources. But Trump, in the course of asking about, will he follow the Supreme Court and facilitate Abrego Garcia's return, and he's saying he will do what his lawyers tell him to do. It's the only situation where Trump doesn't feel like he has absolute authority, right? He says it's up to the El Salvadorian president.
Yeah.
He'll do whatever his lawyers tell him to do, right? But in the course of this, the NBC News reporter asked him, is it your job to uphold the Constitution? And Trump said, I don't know. That's literally the job of the president, is to uphold the Constitution. He takes an oath to that effect. And so the reason why this is so important is this really, really, for anybody who wants America to continue continue based on its current Constitution, you have to vote to impeach and convict Trump. He has to be removed if he can't answer that question. If he has to say, I don't know if my job is to uphold the Constitution, just for the sake of, like, if you're a conservative or a Republican, you want him out now because you don't want a Democrat using this as precedent. You don't want the Democrats to take over the House and the Senate, or really they just need one of them,
right,
plus the presidency, and then start acting like a dictator. You don't want this. You've been against this your entire life. You said you would rise up and water the tree of liberty with the blood of tyrants if a president ever acted this way. Like, you can't, for the same way that Mitch McConnell made Democrats and really the entire world pay when Harry Reid in 2013 lifted the filibuster for non-SCOTUS judicial nominees and other executive appointees. Mitch McConnell came out and said, you will regret this day. And then that's when he lifted and then when the Republicans got back into power, McConnell lifted the filibuster for SCOTUS nominees, and that's how we got Gorsuch and Amy Coney Barrett and possibly even Alito through. I think Alito was Bush earlier, but but that's definitely how we got Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and Amy Coney Barrett. All three of those passed with less than the usual need, with the filibuster lifted. And so they've punished us for that. They've punished the whole damn world because of what this SCOTUS has allowed to happen with their immunization law of the presidency and with Citizens United. Well, Citizens United was actually before that, but
right.
But what this court is doing and what this court is allowing the president to do, we have regretted it, and we need someone like Chuck Schumer, the Senate minority leader, the leader of the Democrats in the Senate, to stand up and say what McConnell did and said, if you do not impeach Trump, if you do not convict him and remove him, you will regret it.
Yeah.
We need to make it clear that we will use the power if you establish it. And that's why I think that's the biggest deal of all these stories. And with that, Todd, I hand it over to you for the next theme song.
Let's see, where'd I put it? I put it right here.
Welcome to What's Cheap this week. Your go-to for the coolest in pop culture, tech, and nerdy news. Let's dive in.
All right, so yes, it is What's Geek this week. First things first, we already talked about it a little bit, but happy Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you. I spent the
Also
good...
with you.
You can always tell a Catholic Star Wars fan when they say that.
I'm not Catholic.
But
I'm not Catholic.
you know that's a Catholic, and always, and with you is the response when you're I think it's in Catholicism is peace be with you, and with you is how you usually respond, and also with you.
No, I was definitely I'm more of a Satanist than a Catholic.
Yeah,
so
I mean, I was raised by Catholics, but I was not raised to be Catholic. So, so first thing, just happy 4th, May 4th for you, and then tomorrow is Revenge of the 5th, or maybe is it the 6th, Revenge of the 6th. Either way, Star Wars. And then
we get Cinco de Mayo, and then we have Revenge of the 6th.
I mean, we have Cinco de Mayo. I really hope that there's conservatives out there that have no desire to celebrate that holiday because they don't deserve it. But yeah.
10-4.
The other thing I wanted to talk about was, you guys can't see these headphones that I'm wearing right now, but Doug can see them. And these are HyperX Cloud Mix 2 gaming headset. I got these yesterday, or the day before yesterday.
They look sharp.
And they sound amazing. These headphones, they are Bluetooth, as well as you can connect them to like your cell phone or music device of any kind that has a headphones connection to it. It also has a USB dongle for the 2.4 gigahertz wireless connection. So if you have like a Switch or any other device that has the USB-C connection and doesn't have a reliable Bluetooth, you can do it that way. These sound amazing, though. I'm sorry this is turning into a plug, but they sent me these headphones because they wanted me to do some HyperX wanted me to do some videos for them. So I figured I would utilize my time.
This is sponsored content right now.
This is sponsored. They gave me these headphones, and they're going to pay me if people buy them using my code. So if you want a pair of these headphones, these are really great headphones. They're high quality headphones. These can be used for music or podcasting or gaming. All of those things, man. They're on sale right now for, I think, $150. If you use my code ADHD Rocks, you get an additional 15% off. And these are awesome. All right, so in some sad news for the geek realm, for those of us who like comedy and have watched all kinds of stuff over the years, you may have heard the name Ruth Buzzi. She passed away just a few days ago at the age of 88. You might recognize her from like the occasional clip from Laugh-In, which was a sketch comedy show back in the 60s. She always dressed up as this little old lady, and she carried this big old bag. And I'll post a video of her doing that, and so you guys can check it out if you don't know who I'm talking about or have seen her do her thing. But you haven't heard of her or whatever, Ruth Buzzi, Buzzi. Google her, go onto YouTube and search for some of her videos. She's a very funny woman. She was into sketch comedy. She did improv, I think, and she was just really funny. She will be missed.
She's an absolute legend of sketch comedy. Laugh-In, for those that don't know, is basically the predecessor to Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
If you've ever seen the bit where they basically, it has the letters of the show's name, and then people would open a little door, stick out their head, and then somebody else would stick out their head in another part, and they do little bits to each other. That's where that came from.
It was usually like dad jokes or bad puns is what they were, and
famously, the very first Who Wants to Be a Millionaire winner, the $1 million question was which president was featured on Laugh-In, which of course was Richard Nixon.
I was going to say it was Nixon, wasn't it?
He famously said that "suck it to me."
Yeah, that was and Goldie Hawn got her start on that show, and a bunch of other people. So I mean, every celebrity in the '60s was on this show. It was very much like the '60s equivalent of SNL. It was a lot of hippie type stuff, but there's also a lot of like conservative type humor in there too, I think. The next story I have here, I guess, Hawkeye is coming back without Hawkeye. I don't know how that's going to work. But apparently,
well, they did make a new Hawkeye.
I guess technically
he handed
speaking,
the title off.
the title is going over to his protege. I think is how they're going to do it. I haven't read the article. It sounds like Disney decided they didn't want to pay him the same amount of money for season 2 because apparently, he was in a really horrible accident, and who's going to want to see that, right? No, come on, what's wrong with you guys? I mean, I've seen him in interviews since the accident. He doesn't look any different. He doesn't sound any different. The first interview I saw him with, he was still in the hospital bed, but he was awake and coherent and was able to speak without any problems. So,
the only thing I can think of is that they were ready to move on with, of course, it's Haley Steinfeld from Sinners that we just saw last week.
She is good in that show, though, I will say.
She is. And I got to assume that they're just ready to move on with her and didn't want to pay Jeremy Renner what he would command. And this insult offer is totally just, they had to know he was going to refuse it. They just were like,
right.
Let's wash our hands of him.
He's going to not want to do it. If we offer him half of what we paid him for season 1, he's going to say no. I mean, they knew that had to happen. So. And
it sucks because it's not like Disney's hard up for cash.
It says here. And then the next story I have is about the Thunderbolts post-credit scene. I haven't seen this movie yet. I'm thinking.
Yeah, I gotta close my ears and not listen to this part. I haven't seen it yet.
I guess. We already know that the Fantastic Four is coming. So the post-credit scene is basically the introduction of the Fantastic Four into the MCU. What you see is the Fantastic Four spaceship coming into Earth's atmosphere, and that's basically all that is. So it's not going to kill any spoilers for you there, but I thought that. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing this movie. I've heard good things about it. I heard it was nothing like previous Avenger movies, so we're not going to get like a lot of the same, just a recycled things we've already seen. Is basically what I was told. It's like you're not going to get that. So it's still a good movie. Is it as good as the last Avengers movie? Maybe, maybe not.
Is it better than Brave New World? Is my question.
Brave New World. Which is
the last MCU movie. That's the last Captain America movie. The most recent MCU movie.
Oh, the one with Red Hulk.
Yeah. It's got to be better than that. I've heard good things.
I wouldn't say it was better or worse. I think they're pretty on the same level. I didn't hate Brave New World. Then again, I didn't go in there expecting anything other than just having, Captain America throwing the frisbee and,
yeah,
and seeing Han Solo turn into a Red Hulk. So, I think the story was better. I think the story there was a lot more heart to it. Brave New World was basically just, hey, we're still here. Oh, and here's Harrison Ford. And that's kind of how that.
Yeah, it was a very inconsistent movie. Yeah. Brave New World was. I think it did some reshoots and had a rewrite going on in the middle of it.
Probably, and that would make sense then, because you would think with Red Hulk being there, you would see the Hulk as well, but no, he did not make any appearance. So
I'll have to wait for Secret Wars.
I was hoping that this post-credit thing was going to talk about the X-Men, but we already know that the Fantastic Four is coming, so I'm okay with that. Okay, what else we got here? Have you seen the advertisement for Paramount Plus utilizing Star Trek and SpongeBob?
I have not.
Go ahead and click on that link and watch it real quick, because it's basically the Starship Patrick Star. And it has the Star Trek Strange New World cast, as well as cast members of SpongeBob SquarePants. And I saw this video a couple weeks back, and everybody who commented, I was like, man, this needs to be a thing. This can't be just a commercial for Paramount Plus. I was like, you know what? It would make for a really funny crossover episode. Maybe a like a parallel universe, like a mirror type thing, instead of it being like the Empire one where everybody has a goatee. They're all like, you know, Paramount cartoon characters or whatever. I don't know, I think it'd be funny. Let's see what else here. Let's see. God, I can't get my eyes to focus. Oh yes, the best places where you can find Mr. Rogers. Apparently out in Pittsburgh, various pieces of his set from his TV show are on display. So if you ever go to Pittsburgh and you are a Fred Rogers fan, you can see the trolley, you can see the castle, you can see the tree, you can see all the puppets. You can see his sweaters and his tennis shoes, his sneakers. I thought that was kind of neat. So,
Finally, a good reason to go to Pittsburgh.
I mean, other than sports, what else is in Pittsburgh?
Right? Just a few rivers, as far as
I mean, I think isn't Pittsburgh like
You're a smelter. You're really into ironworks.
Isn't there like turn of the century type stuff there though?
I'm sure it's in the old America.
Yeah. And then we got, and then the last segment of this episode is this.
Welcome to That's Some Weird Shit, where we dig up the craziest, quirkiest stories that make you go, what the heck just happened? Buckle up, it's about to get weird.
Okay, I only have like 3 stories here, and they're brief.
That's good. My dinner's ready.
The first one is about a guy who snuck into Area 51 and survived. He was able to get out of there without like being arrested or disappeared. So it says here.
Shit.
I mean, this happened back in the 90s. Back in 1996, Freeman had ventured within the perimeter of the top secret base at Groom Lake, Nevada. Anyone foolhardily enough to venture close to the main gates and perimeter fence of Area 51, a secretive Air Force base that has become synonymous with tales of captured UFOs and reverse-engineered alien technology, will typically be met with signposts warning potential trespassers that deadly force is authorized, while armed guards watching from unmarked vehicles nearby. I've seen enough videos of people like driving out there and having them being chased out of there by those white Broncos. So it says here, it looked like a dried lake bed to me, nothing else, but at night it was a different story, he told UFO researcher and journalist George Knapp, nearer at the time. I could clearly see what security that were security lights on the perimeter and could see lights that opened and closed near the center of the lake. Freeman also felt particular vibrations in the ground, as though something was being tested nearby. It's something they're testing either underground, or I was feeling vibrations of completely from Groom Lake. I don't know, he said. Freeman ultimately made it out of the base again without being caught, but sadly died 5 years later in 2001, taking any undisclosed details of exactly what he witnessed to his grave. So, this is like some stuff you would have heard on Coast to Coast on AM radio back in the 90s. You know?
Yeah, George Norrie kind of a deal.
Or back then, it wouldn't have been George. It would have been
Art
Bell.
Bell.
Art Bell. Yeah. Yeah, I love Art Bell. He was. I remember that was my first introduction to listening to AM radio. There was nothing on AM radio that I would have wanted to listen to otherwise. The next story I have here is, let's pull this up. Experts tasked with weeding out AI images of Loch Ness monster. Can you imagine having that job? Like, hey, let's dig through all these pictures that people are submitting and see if we can figure out which ones are like just really terrible photos or maybe clearly are AI images, or the ones that are probably still AI but still look more realistic than the other ones.
What are they weeding it out from? What is this, like a supposedly a repository of Nessie photos, or?
Let's see what it says here. Determining whether or not alleged photographs of Loch Ness monster are real or fake can be a challenging task at the best of times, but thanks to recent advent of artificial intelligence, it has become possible for anyone to generate fake images of the elusive creature in seconds. Says here, what is it for though? Maybe it's I don't know. Maybe it's for like a reporting center for Nessie. I'm not seeing anything here. In many cases, the image hasn't been deliberately doctored, but instead artificially enhanced using AI by tools on modern smartphones, making something appear more significant than it actually is. Please don't send us.
So it looks like this is specifically photos that are sent in by members of the public to the Loch Ness Centre in Drumnadruk. Drumnadruk in Scotland.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I kind of figured it was something similar to that. But yeah, that, and see what else. What's the last story here so Doug can get some dinner?
They're beer-boiled ribs.
Ooh, that sounds really good. I want some.
Yes, I'm very excited.
Oh, come on. What did I do?
You just deleted the link from it.
I did. Where's the...
Now it's just texts.
I see that. Hold on. I got it.
Do we want to tease this for next week? It's an unexplained mystery.
Hold on.
There, it's back.
I got it. Okay. Here we go. I had to do the Control-Z to undo what I just did. Declassified CIA files describes locations of alleged alien bases. I actually read this earlier. Basically, it's talking about like remote viewing and how they discovered these bases and stuff using remote viewing. And if you're not familiar with what
like ESP
remote
viewing,
if you're not familiar with what remote viewing is, it is essentially they are using the power of the mind to find out where people are and see what they're doing. And so that was my best Nick Cage. How was it?
Oh, okay. I get it now.
It was, yeah. So that's what it is. And I was thinking, they're gonna be talking about like bases. Apparently, there's one in like South America or Africa. I mean, they don't really know for sure, but they think it's in one of those.
They haven't been able to verify these. They have potential locations.
And it's like, and they're like, yeah, I have this image in my mind. There's an alien hanging out in front of a building. I was like, oh, come on.
I'm only now realizing how much Nicolas Cage actually kind of sounds like Keanu Reeves. I never really put those together before.
Maybe just my terrible impression is a combination of the two. It would make for a cool character, though. You know, it's
sort of like how my Jay Leno always devolves into Mike Tyson.
Or when I tried to do a Morgan Freeman, it always sounds like it sounds like Cleveland Brown from Family Guy. So don't feel bad. So, yeah, when I clicked on this link, I was like, this is going to be an interesting story. And then I read it, and I'm like, maybe not so much. But I kept it in there because, I wanted to have a third story. And I like these kinds of stories when they're actually like, hey, we somebody went and saw this thing, and we went down there and we saw, we had to use like really high-powered, binoculars or whatever to be able to see it because we couldn't get close enough, that kind of thing. So the problem is this segment, there's not a lot posted online for these kinds of things. So I may have to find different sources for weird stories. So, all right.
That is definitely a weird story.
Yes, it is. All right, sir. We ready for the outro musics?
Yeah, thanks for. Well, let's tell everybody. Make sure that they like and subscribe if you're
That's
watching
right.
on YouTube.
Yes.
Leave us a 5-star review on your favorite podcast platform.
Yes.
Give us a thumbs up wherever you can. And thanks for listening.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you next week.
Forget the rules, I'll make my own. Zigzag thoughts I've overgrown. Chasing sparks in every lane. Don't try to fix what fuels this flame. ADHD, we're running wild. Focus fading, chaotic child. Turn the volume up, take a ride. In this crazy storm, I can't hide. Call me restless, call me loud. Living life outside the crowd. Fast and messy, that's my deal. This spinning madness feels so real. ADHD, we're running wild. Focus fading, chaotic child. Turn the volume up, take a ride. In this crazy storm, I can't hide.